Hey guys, and welcome back to the Crazy Cozy Corner. This is TBR Tackle Audiobook Edition. So this TBR Tackle, we're going to do it a little different. I am not going to pull from the box, which I'm going to hate later when I have to dig through them all, but I'm going to see what I have on my TBR, and then I'm going to see what I can get as fast as I can from the library on audiobook, because that's the only way I can really finish a book right now. New life changes, stuff like that. So let's talk about the books I have read, the books that I didn't know I was reading for this until this very moment. So I've been continuing on The Land of Stories. This was the author's Odyssey, so I'm pretty sure. Is this where they're all jumping around? No. This is his book. Okay, so and this one, 5-star, obviously. I really love this series. I can't tell you why, it just, something in my heart just makes me super happy. Yeah. Anyways, we're following the Bailey twins, but Connor and Alex are jumping into his stories to build up an army to fight already at this point, their uncle's literary army. And so, like, it ends on a cliffhanger. We don't know where Alex is, and I'm, like, really excited to continue with the next book, which I do have already out on loan. So I'm going to be reading this one alongside another book, which so I don't technically own it yet, but I ordered it, so I do own it. So that's going to also be there because not next, but another one I thought I read was Assistant to the Villain, and it was a 5-star for me. Like, okay, it was so cute. Like, at first I'm like, oh, she's kind of weird, like throwing off all the things of the villainy, but as you get to know the, like, backstory of the villain and, like, finding out how, like, Evie works, it just made me all giddy. And it's a slow burn, and I loved that. Like, beautiful. I just finished this literally maybe 15 minutes ago, and I was like, all right, on to the next. And I was like, I don't have the physical copy, but I liked this book so much that I ordered the physical copy to go along with the audiobook, because this I will be keeping. Like, I'm so glad that I picked it up when I did. And yeah, and as it's an obligation at this point for me to bring up a Mortal Instruments book. So I read the last book in the Mortal Instruments series, not in this universe, but in this series, and it was The City of Heavenly Fire. And gosh darn it, I'm gonna have to keep this series. Like, so, one, they mean, why you do Simon like that? I cried. If a book can make me cry, like, for that moment, I would reread the series again. And that makes me mad, because I was like, oh, I can finally, like, I'm not gonna hoard books, but like, yes, most of the series, like, irritated me with just, like, the incest. But, like, the ending, like, and trying to redeem Jonathan at the end, like, even though it didn't really, but then, like, oh gosh, like, I hate that I liked it. Like, and it was actually, like, the last half of the book that I liked, not, like, but then Alec and Magnus got back together, and they're the only normal ones. But then I was so sad for Isabel, and then Simon. So those are the 3 that I have read. I'm gonna see what else I can get out on loan from the library, but I do have I think it's the Apprentice to the Villain that is after Assistant. That one, no, or is that the 3rd one? Whatever is the next book in this series will be in 2 days. And so I will be listening to that one, and then I will be listening to this one And I'm honestly probably just gonna keep this video going until I decide that it's long enough. And that's all I could say about that, because I don't have as much time to sit down and read, because like I said, life changes. And so I just don't want to put a time limit and then not get a lot, or like not have a lot to talk about. Like this one, I had a lot to talk about, but this was also like 2 or 3 weeks of listening to audiobooks. So I mean, maybe it was a little less than that. I feel like this was just a week of audiobooks. I can't even remember what else I've listened to recently. I did listen to the 4th book in the Land of Stories series, but we already had one. And so, yeah. But I will figure out what else I can add to that list. But, yeah. Okay. No worries. I look exactly how I feel. It's a hair wash day, so everything's gonna be better. But I did finish, Worlds Collide, The Land of Stories. And this whole series has just been a 5-star. Like, I think the voice acting that Chris does when he narrates the books just makes it come to life. And the fact that he's very consistent with all of his characters, I've loved this series. I don't know if it just won't be the same ever reading it just myself, but here, like, I would love to listen to the audiobooks all over again. Like, they're wonderful. The books themselves, wonderful. I love the story. Worlds Collide, like, this was a fast book. Like, it was 9 hours narration. And so I finished this in 2 days when I could read it. And it was very fast paced compared to everything like that happened prior. And like, for the ending, I felt like there was something missing. But like, we don't find out what happens to Arthur and Alex. Like, it kind of just gets left ambiguous, which I guess maybe that might have been the point. There's just some things that like felt like there were some ends that, because they were, I don't know. It wasn't the way I would end it, but it's also not my imagination or my story. So like for what, I have a headache, I'm sorry. But for this like series, like, may not be my favorite book, but it was still a good book. Like, Chris did a wonderful job like building his story and everything. And I think it's kind of funny how like it parallels, like, Connor writes these stories that we read, but it's actually, I mean, it's obviously not Connor because Connor's fictional, but it's fun. That makes me smile. Now I'm reading, I still don't have the physical copy yet, but Apprentice to the Villain, because then the last book is the 3rd book is Accomplice. And I'm underwhelmed by The Apprentice. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I loved the first book. Like, it was 5 stars. This one probably teetering on 3, 3.5 maybe. I think maybe what I loved about the first book was like you could feel the slow burn, and now like that they've both realized that they love each other, there's not any real stakes that are keeping them apart, and so that's what makes it really annoying, other than like it's just the made up stuff, you know. I'm darkness, and you know she's meant for more, blah, you know. And like there should be like, what's the real reason, like why, like, no, because they both love each other, and like, I don't know. But it's also focusing a lot more on each other's bodies in this one, and I mean, if that's cool, if you like that, it makes me uncomfortable because it does, because now it's not focusing on the fact that he loves her mind and like how like she is, and that she loves his like soul and how he is. It's focused on, oh wow, he's ripped, and oh wow, she's busty, you know. And so it like kind of cheapens the romance for me a little bit, but I'm about halfway through that. I guess I shouldn't impulse buy an entire series if I love the first one. I've just learned a soul-crushing lesson. But time to wash the day away and go to sleep. So I'm editing my TBR video, and I realized I never talked about the rest of my thoughts on Assistant to the Villain. I kind of just went straight into The Lost Apothecary, which thankfully, by the power of editing, you're not going to see that abrupt cut, but it was there. So last we left off, I was underwhelmed with the book. It kind of got better. I'm trying to think, you know, sometimes second books are kind of just the bridge between, like, getting from the first book to the third book, and I have a feeling that's what this book was kind of about. Not super cliffhangery. I don't know. I wasn't, like, it was good, but it wasn't near as, like, show-stopping to me as the first one was. So that was my thoughts. And then it looks like I didn't even introduce the Lost Apothecary. So the next book we're reading is The Lost Apothecary, and you'll get my thoughts when I finish it, which is literally this next clip. Okay, I did it. I finished listening to The Lost Apothecary. Let's grab the book. The Lost Apothecary. So I rated it, I think, 3 stars. But it is about, it's multiple POV and, like, differing timelines. 2 are in the 1700s and 1 is in, like, modern day, in London. And so we follow this girl, Caroline, who has been betrayed by her husband, and she uses their anniversary trip to get some space. And then we follow Nella and Eliza, which Nella is an apothecary and Eliza is a 12-year-old girl. And you start to see how all their stories come together. Nella and Eliza, their stories are pretty much intertwined from the beginning of the book. But it's cool to see how it gets intertwined with Caroline's. I really hope that's her name. But yeah, I don't know if I really want to do, like, super spoilers. Let's see. Oh, my favorite part of the book is just Caroline finding herself, which I was like, there was parts of her, like, when I was frustrated with her because she was seeming, I don't know, like, both her and her husband were at fault for not being happy, but, like, I didn't like how the husband kept, like, shifting blame all the time. I was not a big fan of that. But, I mean, there's guys like that, unfortunately, and thankfully she realized before it was way too late. I mean, it was already late, but yeah. But, yeah, nothing too crazy about it. I have several books on loan, so we're gonna see how it goes. I want to get, I think, 3 more done before I wrap up this video. It's dependent on if I can finish it within the time frame for Libby, because if someone else is behind me, I have to wait, you know, normal stuff. My mascara is all the way down there, love that. Or maybe that's just my eye bag. But next up is Garden of the Cursed, and then I have, after that, The House on Saltwater Point, and then to finish it off, I think Crazy Rich Asians. So I'm excited for the lineup. One of the books, like The House on Saltwater Point, is one of the ones that was gifted to me, and so I really don't know. I just know it's kind of like a mystery, and it might have a character named Brianna or something close to that, so we'll see. So if you're like me and you like to support women's rights and wrongs in books, then this book would be good for you. The characters are pretty nuanced. I think Eliza is the most, you know, she's a child, so she's the most, not flat, but the easiest to kind of read. Well, not, I mean, like, on her character, not easiest to read as in point of view. But if you like, you know, mysteries and multiple POVs kind of interwoven, and just a lot of fun stuff like that. Apothecaries, and, you know, learning about women who, I mean, in this book they existed, but in our world maybe not, but it talks about like the women who existed that we don't know anything about, and there's only one way they're remembered, and it's from the apothecary, and I think that's pretty cool. So I would definitely recommend it. It was a great read. Okay, I got some updates. I did not start reading Garden of the Cursed. I actually started and finished The House at Saltwater Point. It was a 3-star book for me. I guess I've never read anything by Colleen Coble, and so I didn't really know what to expect. I expected more mystery, and while there was mystery, it was very heavy on the romance, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. But I can happily say I've read it. I will probably never read it again. And actually, I realized that this was a second book. Thankfully, they're like more standalone. You just see the characters from the other books, but this was a second book in a series. And let me grab it. Like, this is the first one, The View from Rain Shadow Bay. So I'm going to read this, but it's probably gonna get unhauled, like The House at Saltwater Point, just because it's kind of like you read it and you know it wasn't anything too super crazy for me, not life-changing that I want to read it again. So when I get a chance, I'll read this, but I'm probably going to give it maybe some time so that even though I know that the leads in this book will get together, like, it's not so fresh. So, but you can definitely read these as standalone, in my opinion. This one, you saw the characters from this one, and that was pretty much, like, they played a big role, but it wasn't like their story was super, super important, in my opinion. It's, like, so, like, you could just read it on its own. So, I'll be unhauling that, and I actually returned the Garden of the Cursed, because I just wasn't feeling it. I only got, like, maybe a minute into it, and it was just, like, not the vibe I was going for right then. So, this baby is gonna go back on my shelf, and we're not gonna, we're not unhauling it, because I might be in the mood. I just wasn't feeling it. After, what book did I read? The Last Apothecary. Even though The House at Saltwater Point wasn't super light, I mean, it was more fluffy than what this feels like it's gonna be, so I need to be in the right headspace for it, and I don't want to do it disservice. So I returned it because there was people waiting, and I don't like keeping a book till its very last day if I'm not sure if I'm going to read it. Just in my opinion, especially if there's people after me. If there's no person there, all bets are off. Like, I'm renewing that baby as much as I can until I want to read it. But if someone wants to read it, I'm just gonna pass it along and then renew, or like put a hold on it again, and then when it comes back to me, maybe it's the right time. I've been hoping that, like, it'll be the right time for Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and it hasn't been, because, like, right now, if it doesn't have an audiobook, it's probably not getting read by me right now, or it's gonna be really slow, and for the sake of talking about books, I can't really have the leisure to read super slow if it's gonna be included in a video, but if it's not, all bets are off, right? So the only other book that I plan for this video, maybe, is Crazy Rich Asians, which I've heard is a really great book. I actually have I think it's a trilogy. I have at least 3 books of it, right? It's Crazy Rich Asians, Rich People Problems, and then China Rich Girlfriend, which maybe it's I don't know, and I don't know. But yeah, so that was, well, let's talk about The House at Saltwater Point now. Like, I didn't really talk about it. So we follow this girl named Ellie and this guy named Grayson. He is a long lost brother of the people, or of the woman in this novel. And so he's kind of like learning his roots, but also there's a reason he's in Lavender Tides, and it's because there's like a mystery. And Ellie's sister was like suspected of stealing and like maybe trying to sell cocaine, and so, but Ellie's sister is missing, so it's kind of like trying to find Mac, which is Ellie's sister. And, you know, Ellie and Grayson, you know, falling in love and working together and stuff like that. I don't remember how long the time like line is, and so I feel really weird about super quick like love connections because I'm like, okay, but yeah, it was cute. It was a cute time. Yeah, it was more tactfully handled, I think, or maybe I don't know anything than the James Patterson, I think James Patterson book that I read that had to do with terrorism. It was a little bit better handled. I mean, it's still like when you talk about groups of people, a lot of them get stereotyped, which is unfortunate because like there's bad people in every single people group and cultures and nationalities and race, and you know, it's sad when like a whole, yeah, but alas, it definitely was not as tactless as The Chef was to me. So yeah, that will be forever the one of the worst books that I've tried to read. Not that it was bad writing, it was just the content. Like James Patterson, like he can push books out, and so I can't even say that like I could do better because he's written how many books and I've written how many? None. And so like I can't really judge it. Just that one was 100% not for me, which I don't even know why I'm talking about it anymore because it's over and done with. But yeah, see you in the next. So I finished Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I think I rated it 3 stars. The voice actress that they hired to read the book, phenomenal. Like, I really liked her. She did well at like integrating the notes into the story. Like, I didn't even know when I was listening that she was integrating like notes at the bottom of the page into that paragraph that doesn't actually go there. It just has like, you know, the asterisk that says, you know, go read somewhere else. And so she did a great job. And so, but for like the story itself, you can see a great gap. See, there we go. For the story itself, I was a little underwhelmed. I ended up reading it pretty quick, but that doesn't necessarily, it was like, so it was a fun time, but you know, I expected to see a lot more of Rachel and, oh, what's her guy's name? Rachel and the other, what is his name? Nick. Yeah. I expected to see a lot more of Rachel and Nick and like more tension of like before breaking off the engagement. And it was kind of, I guess it was like the drama was like, it was there, but it also was like, that's it. And so I guess I had high expectations from like seeing a scene from the movie, and sometimes the movies, they make up some stuff, so I think that was a moment that was made up. But I was so ready for like Rachel to be like, you know what, like, you can't force me to do something, I'm doing this for like his own good or whatever. And maybe I just remember the scene wrong, but I was expecting like that and it didn't happen. And then we got a lot of like point of views. I think because it's a trilogy, it was seeding out a lot of stories, and it didn't feel like there was like a conclusion. And so like it was good. I'm gonna finish the series and then I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna keep the series. But right now, if I were just basing it off of Crazy Rich Asians, it was a good time. I would definitely recommend reading it, but I would recommend reading it from your library or just listening to the audiobook. But yeah, so that was our TBR wrap-up tackle thing of audiobooks. Thank you so much for watching. I had a great time talking about these audiobooks with you and kind of just mood reading instead of picking from the jar. I think we'll go back to the box every once in a while, but I liked the, okay, I'm interested in this, because I think I'm a little bit of a mood reader. Actually, I know I am. So like I can put myself into a little bit of a slump if I don't read something that I want to. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell, comment. I'll see you in the next. Bye.